Welcome to C-Suite Scale, where executive minds unpack the real stories behind business growth. Today, I am joined by Matt Cataldo over at Carpenter Costin. Welcome, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Good, good. So excited to have you on the show today. Well, talk to me a little bit about just your business and how you got started in it.
Yes, so I own a landscape maintenance business that we specialize in year-round maintenance for both commercial and high-end residential properties. Started it 20 years ago, this past February actually, and looking forward to what the next 20 years are going to bring.
Wow, that's quite a accomplishment. Congratulations in advance on your
Yes,
20-year anniversary.
thank you.
Yeah, awesome. And so talk to me about like how you got started in this 20 years ago, how the vision came about.
Sure. So I went to school up here in Vermont for college. I did business management and marketing. Was looking to go into the so-called corporate world. Had some friends and some family members that were in the corporate world, and things changed for them very quickly. They had very good jobs. All of a sudden, they didn't, and I said, you know what? I don't want to do that. I'm gonna be the reason I either make it or I don't make it, and it's not going to be on someone else. So I decided during college, I worked for a landscape company. Decided that I would go out on my own and start my own. So I did in February of 2005 after I graduated in 2004. And I started off where I went and I got a second shift job at night to be able to pay the bills and worked my business during the day. And within just under a year, I was able to quit that second shift job and go full time myself with my business. And at the time, was able to hire a couple of employees to help keep things running and start to grow.
That's amazing. I think it's something that most people, try and struggle through. It's like I should go the corporate route, but there's a little bit more of like a risk reward for the other routes. And it
That's
sounds
correct.
like you
Yeah.
took the risk. Obviously, have
Yes.
been very successful with this,
Yes.
and I'm sure you're reaping the rewards if you're continuing. Obviously.
That's correct.
Well, good. Congratulations on that as well.
Thank you.
Um, when you first started your company and were able to kind of stop your part-time gig and go all in on this business, you said that you hired a few people. What did that look like as far as, you handling everything on your own to eventually kind of bringing people in?
So I started bringing people in my second season in business, and really tried to get them to work in the field with me. And I was doing most of like the so-called business work outside of that, whether it be weekends or nights, trying to keep those guys and myself busy during the day doing billable work. I was doing that for about 4 years and got to a point where we're really trying to scale up and tried doing some growth with some newer employees, taking on new responsibilities. I was having a little bit of trouble with finding some of the right people. So back then in 2009, I actually partnered with a business partner who owned a business similar to mine that was doing more so like hardscape projects. They were specialized in like your patios, your walls, walkways and stuff like that. And what I was able to do with that, with having a partner, was we were able to run the business and grow it and be able to attract more people to come work for us and some of the right people to work with us to help grow it and manage it.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, the right people can be sometimes difficult to find in this
Very,
space.
yes.
And so, I guess, what do you look for when you're hiring somebody, and how do you go about finding those right people now?
Things have changed a lot over the last 20 years, but really what I'm looking for is I want somewhat of a self-starter, someone that's gonna, not just come in and take orders, but actually gonna give ideas. Ideally, someone that either has a family or is about to start a family, because then you really know that they're in it 100% because they have people depending upon them.
Hmm.
You know, I don't necessarily always need somebody that's already been in the industry because there's a lot of things we can teach, but I can't teach personality. I can't teach, all those things that go along with being a self starter.
Yeah, those are definitely the intangibles that you can't teach. That has to come
Correct.
inherently from the person. And Carpenter and Costin, how did you come to that name?
So actually, the business that I started originally was called Nature's Way Lawn Care and Snow Plowing, and my business partner's business was called Carpenter and Costin. And as I said, in 2009, in the spring of 2009, we partnered together, took the two companies, and just merged them together, and we stayed with his name. His name actually started from the original Carpenter and Costin out of the Boston area, and my business partner's father bought it from them, helped him get started up here. Within a couple of years, my partner and his father had a falling out, and that's when I kind of came in and took the other 50% of the business when we merged, and we've been partners since. The goal was always to get to about 15 years together, 15 to 18 years together. He's about 10 years older than I am, and the plan would be that I would buy him out. So we are actually currently working through a buyout process that is supposed to be completely finished up by December of this year.
Wow, that's another exciting thing to
Yes.
especially go into your next 20 years with the
Yes.
company being 100% yours.
Yes. Absolutely. Very
Awesome.
exciting.
So, okay, so you do landscaping and then also snow removal. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
Yes.
awesome. Talk to me a little bit about the transition between, how you transition from the landscaping in the spring and summer to the snow removal in the winter.
Yeah, so that's interesting because being in Vermont, we don't just go from summer to fall, from fall to winter, and winter to spring. They kind of all mix together at times. So, we start prepping our equipment and our plans for winter in about end of June, early July, and we were working pretty hard through that, right through till the season starts, which typically is in the beginning of November. We are in a position that we need to be prepared from basically the 15th of October to be able to transition from summer to winter and then back to summer again. A lot of times we do get ice and snow at the end of October, the first half of November. We're also in the process at that time frame of doing all of our fall cleanups and prepping all of our properties for the winter time. So we do all of our training typically in the month of September for winter and for fall, so that we're ahead of the curve on that. We have typically in the fall we'll go 2 to 3 times where we set up and we're doing fall cleanups and we have to break down and move over the snow. And within a couple of days the snow's melted and we're back to fall cleanups. And that usually happens a couple of times, through till you get to about Thanksgiving, and right around after Thanksgiving is when we transition 100% into winter mode, if you will. And then interesting enough, it's pretty similar come springtime. We're starting after the first of the year, getting prepared for spring while we're going through the work of winter. And in the spring, it's the same thing. It's not like April 1st, it just stopped snowing. We've seen snow, we've plowed snow up to a foot of snow right through like the third week of April. So when that happens, we end up having to do the same thing where we're taking stuff apart to do some spring work, putting stuff back together to be ready for winter work when the weather changes. So
Yeah, need to pivot quickly and be at the mercy of the weather.
yes.
Yeah, and so as far as in your local area, what would you say your competitive differentiator is? Because I know that there's probably a few other companies that maybe do what you're doing. What kind of sets you apart?
I guess what I like to think sets us apart is we really have tried to focus over the last 10 years on more of a career-based employment. People that are not just here, we will hire your summer help or your winter help, kids right out of school. We work with some local tech schools that we try to get people interested, so when they get out of school they come work for us. But we really do focus on that, the ability for you to come here and work here for as many years as you want, have a career, have the opportunity for health insurance and 401k and all those things that the so-called corporate world offers. Most people don't think of the landscape industry as a place where you can go and achieve that. So our goal is to really show that that's not the case, and I feel that definitely separates us from a lot of our competition.
I love that. I love that. And how big is your team?
We are just shy of 50 people right now.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty significant.
Yeah,
That's great. And
especially
then as
for our
far
area.
yeah, I would imagine, any company in the landscaping, when you get to that, that 50, people mark, as far as the size of a team, it definitely, you've scaled to that point because you've
Yes.
obviously needed to scale because the demand has been there for you to scale. Uh-huh. Great, great. And so as far as the companies that you support, you said commercial and residential.
Yes, correct.
Okay, awesome. And what size of companies is that?
So anything from like a local bank branch office to we do a ton of lawn and snow work for Middlebury College.
Mm.
So we've got big accounts. We've got some HOAs that are, HOA meaning homeowner associations, that have, 450 units in them, right down to, one residential unit or one residential house that, has us take care of their property year round, and they live on maybe 3/4 of an acre.
Awesome. What strategies have contributed to this type of growth for you?
I guess a lot of the strategy for the growth has been a lot of trying to be involved in our communities that we serve. We do a lot of community events, or we're part of a lot of community events. We lend our hand to that. Do some not just financial donations, but a lot of sweat equity donations, if you will. For example, a few times a year in a couple of our different demographics, we'll purchase and lay down, 5,000 square feet of sod on like a downtown roadway that they shut down for the day and do some sort of an outdoor event, whether it be a parade or in some cases like the one that we do every September. They have a group that comes together, and there's a 5K that runs through it, as well as a big whoopie pie festival, and they come up with people compete to build the biggest whoopie pies, which actually last September they hit the Guinness World Record and was able to get in the book, which was pretty exciting.
That is so exciting. I love that. It makes it fun
Yep.
too.
Yep, and that gets us gets us seen out and about doing things other than just the work that we do. And there's a lot of people in our areas. We've noticed that they may choose to work with us even by paying a little bit more money, but because we are like-minded and involved in our community, they choose to work with us.
hmm And so, how does that work when you're at one of these events? Do you have like a table that you set up to kind of consult with people, or do you put your signs up, or what is that?
We do a lot of our advertising. Our team is there in uniform. There's a lot of Facebook advertising and stuff, getting people amped up for it. And then, we're there on site, available for anybody that might want to talk to us during the events.
hmm That's great. And so, you talked a little bit about, you mentioned Facebook ads. What else are you doing to go to market to get new customers and clients?
We work a lot and have a lot of different like Google AdWords and stuff like that. That tends to be very big for us right now. Um, and then a lot of it is really word of mouth. Us doing a good job and keeping customers happy. They tend to be very happy with sharing our name and information with others.
hmm I love that. I love that. That organic type of growth.
Yes, I would say that's the biggest growth that we have is the organic.
And when I would imagine after one of these events, you probably get an influx of customers wanting to go ahead and use your services. Is that accurate?
We get an influx of questions or inquiries. So yes, definitely. We don't necessarily always tie it right to the events, but I do believe from when we ask questions and do surveys that a lot of people might not call anyone else and just call us and not bid it out, and that's due to us giving back to the local communities.
hmm That's a really great mindset to have, to just kind of go in believing that they're only talking to you and they're not going out and getting multiple quotes. I think that mindset alone probably sets you up for success.
Yes, that's correct.
In those instances where somebody maybe is, reaching out to multiple different companies, and time is of the essence, as I'm sure you're aware, making sure that you're, responding to these inquiries in a timely fashion. How are you going about making sure that all of your, current prospects and customers get basically their questions answered in a timely way?
We have a management staff that's involved, and they have sales goals, so they're responsible for, taking these appointments, making sure they get back to people. We try to stick to a 48-hour rule of getting back to someone with a bid, and if we can't because it's maybe a larger project where we have a lot going on, within that 48 hours, we're communicating with them and letting them know where we are at and when they will expect to see it. We find that communication is key. I know a lot of people say that, but it's truly the most important thing. We're not going to be the cheapest company around. We're going to make mistakes. There are going to be things that maybe happen that aren't the best, but one thing that we really pride ourselves in is our responsiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what, we return the phone call, we answer the phone, we return the emails. Even if we don't have answers, it's as simple as returning it and saying, this is something I've got to look into, and I wish I could tell you right now, but the best I can do is just communicate with you and let you know where I'm standing. So that for us, we found to be very successful. We get a lot of comments about competitors in the industry that, geez, I've called so-and-so, and, it took 2 weeks for them to call me back, or I never heard back from so-and-so. And I think a lot of that has to do with our strategy of, owners not being in the field,
Mm-hmm.
management being in place, and the people who do the work are the boots on the ground, the physical work. A lot of our competition, the owners might be out mowing the lawn a couple days a week, or they're doing other things that aren't allowing them to be as accessible for the customer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, that responsiveness is so important. And so I can definitely
Very
second you.
much so.
Mm-hmm. And so, as far as like, just protecting your brand, would you say that that's probably your main strategy is making sure that,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
receptiveness is definitely the biggest thing for us, and just being able to be as responsive as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you've grown and scaled, I know that you've had to probably implement technology to help you make sure that you're streamlining your internal processes. What does that look like for you as far as how you've gotten to where you are right now? And then also what you feel like you still need to implement to get to your next stage of growth?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Since we started, it's funny. I look back in the first year in business. I think all I had were flip phones at the time,
Yeah.
and then they moved on to the Blackberries, and now you had your email, and now it's all the smartphones. So that was a big one. About 4 years ago, we adapted a new custom software system for the company for operating that goes right from sales, right through production, right over to billing it out, and then connecting with QuickBooks.
Mhm.
That allowed us to go from having paper timesheets to everybody using their smartphones to punch into tickets. So that gives us, real live data. There's no data entry on anybody anymore. We're able to look back and see how we did on a project within a minute of finishing it. That's really allowed us to step up our game, uh, be able to spend more time in other places rather than data entry.
Mhm.
Uh, and as far as some future stuff right now is that we're looking at. We do have a robot mower that's hooked up via some GPS coordinates. We only have one on one property. We're
Mhm.
testing it right now. The future, it looks like there's going to be some self-propelled mowers. They're already out there, full-size mowers, but I think I think that's going to be a big part of what the future is going to look like, where we're possibly having to adapt to some, robot type equipment.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, what would you like? How many people would you say you have in the field right now? And then maybe your goal as far as scaling that down?
So my hope would be, I guess right now we've got, I would say, let's say 44 people in the field. And I don't necessarily hope to scale down the number of people. My hope is that we're having a little bit of a stint in trying to grow, just because it's really hard to find, good, dedicated, hardworking individuals ever since COVID. That's been a major challenge. So my
Mm-hmm.
hope is that we are able to use some of this technology to help us grow and not necessarily downsize in the number of individuals, be
Mm-hmm.
able to take on more work with the same number of individuals and implementing some of the robots.
Okay, I love that. So you're going to keep all your team and not have to lay people off. I know that's never fun as a business owner.
100%. And, if we can continue to grow the team, we're always looking for really good people.
Love that. Love that. And so the the growth that you're talking about as the as you're, you know, would you say, let me rephrase this question. So, would you say that the demand right now is more than what you're able to handle, which is why you're kind of wanting to?
Yes, we can definitely take on more work. Over the last 5 years, we've turned down quite a bit of work, and we've stayed pretty stagnant. I mean, we've grown in the sense of profitability through weeding out. When we've had to downsize due to not having enough boots on the ground, we've weeded out some of maybe the customers that don't fit as well with us, and we're able to become more profitable on the ones that do.
Mhm.
But we would like to be able to start taking on more. We just have been in a spot where keeping good people, it was really tough during that time period, and attracting good people.
Completely understand. Would you say it's maybe like smaller residential jobs that you've had to turn down at this point?
Yes, that's correct. We ended up, what we did was we went from, allowing to have customers that all we did maybe was mow their lawn, maybe do a spring cleanup and mow their lawn, to now, in order for a residential customer to be part of our company, we need to do a fall cleanup, a spring cleanup, mowing, and at least one other service, whether that be a weeding service, a pruning service, or a mulching service, or something along those lines. And that's
Mhm.
helped weed out, you know, some customers said, okay, we'll take on the more of the services, and some customers just wanted the lawn mowed, and we passed those off to some local companies that we are competitors with. But at the end of the day, we're all in the same boat, so we all need to be able to work together.
Absolutely. You're in all different stages of your growth as well. So, I
That's
mean, you're
correct.
probably just helping somebody that might not be further along as you get to where maybe you are someday.
That's correct.
Awesome. And so, in your role, you obviously handle a lot of different, jobs and hats. You've been with this company for a significant amount of time from the ground up. What is it that you love the most?
Probably the people, both on the customer side and meeting with them, seeing, good stories happening, as well as on the internal side with our staff and our team members.
I love that. I love that. And if you were maybe to speak with the version of you a couple years ago, what would you tell that person?
I would probably say stop worrying so much about the day to day and really just focus on future. And the day to day will work itself out.
Nice. I love that. As far as the rest of 2025 going into 2026, obviously you have a huge milestone coming ahead in
Yes.
2026. What else is exciting for you as you kind of continue into 2026?
So obviously, taking over the ownership of the company 100% is a big thing. As part of that, we have actually changed a little bit of our leadership team around, moved some people up, and so that's a really exciting thing for 25 going into 26. People will Team members now in our leadership team will have a year under their belt or more for some, and it's just exciting to see. We have a really good team that is very like-minded and also strong in different areas, which really helps highlight each other and help each other.
That's great. Kudos to you for building that culture. I know as a business owner, it's not always easy, but it sounds like you've maybe learned a few things along the way.
Learned a lot of things along the way, a lot of what not to do.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you take out what not to do, you're left with, all the good
All
stuff
the
that
good
comes
stuff,
from it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, any advice that you would tell others on a similar journey?
I think just as being as even keeled as possible in all situations, not having too many ups or too many downs that your team will either feed from you or see happening. I know that that has been a large part of what I've worked on over the last probably 15 years is not getting too excited in one way or the other. And the more that I'm able to do that, the more success I'm able to see, which is very rewarding.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's actually a principle of manifestation, to be able to get you to the next stage. And so, not getting too excited one way or the other. So, I
Yes.
can definitely respect that.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, this has been so great. Where can people reach out to you if they'd like to learn more about Carpenter and Costin and they, have like maybe larger projects?
Yeah. So our website is carpentercostin.com. They're more than welcome to reach out to that. Our local phone number is 802-775-5686. Either of those two ways. Once you get to our website, you can click on the different emails of people who you can, connect with as well.
Great, great. Well, this has been so great, Matt. I'm really excited for you and your company. And thanks just so much for joining the show.
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks.